Honors. Okay, Shalom everyone, B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We're continuing, I believe this is going to be the 10th segment in the Sefer Binyan Uzriya Bechinuch, After Volbe, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Last thing that we discussed was taking the children to Tefillah, to the Bet Knesset, how it should be, how our attitude should be, how we should teach them their attitude, and so on and so forth.
I have a question on this actually.
Yes.
When do you think it would be a good time to introduce them to shul and like a more formal way, or is it kid dependent? Because I know it's very different with my kids.
Right. So the truth is, it really depends on them. Depends how, if they're gonna sit, for that period of time, not to run around. Really, it all depends on every child. Every child is different.
But it's even more than that. It's not even just for them to sit down.
Right. Poor thing, you want it to be a nice experience for them. You don't want them to be sitting then suffering, You want it to be a nice experience where they feel good, and they appreciate it and understand it. Imagine, poor thing comes in, doesn't know what a siddur is, doesn't know what tefillah is, and just sits around, Sometimes selichot is great, They come because everybody's singing, they get used to the songs. It's different. But even that, early in the morning, I remember when we were kids, we loved to go to selichot, But I don't know, the times change, kids are different, their interests are different. We really have to see, if they enjoy it, if they'll have a positive experience or not. At the end of the day, what sticks to them is that positive experience. They won't remember, they'll learn tefillah, but that's that joy, that happiness, that kavod, that's the main thing, to learn to have kavod for the Bet Knesset. That's it seems that's like the most important thing. Unfortunately, you talk to adults, how Revolve puts it, that a person should feel that the moment that they enter the shul, they have entered Makom Kadosh. How many adults feel that? It's not any different than in the hallway, and not any different than in the street or home. This is what we have to develop, and this is it shows, I don't know if I mentioned last week, my father, Zichron Livracha, he was very adamant, people shouldn't put their foot on their foot in the shul when they're sitting. Last time he was here in LA, he went, he got up, where is he going? He walked all the way to the other side of the shul. Someone had his foot on his foot. He told him,
His foot on, cross your legs.
Cross your legs,
My grandmother would tell me not to cross my legs.
Right. And that's brought down in halakha that a person in shul shouldn't do it because he feels it's a feeling of not comfortable necessarily, that you are. It's a feeling of arrogance, I'm the boss. I feel I could do it. If a person needs it because they want to put the siddur and the siddur will be too low and they want to elevate it like that, there are allowances for that. But again, it's how we feel. Some say that even at home a person shouldn't do it.
What?
That's tough. That's tough. Really, the halakha is for shul. I've seen it brought down in a few different safarim. At home, a person wants to feel comfortable sometimes. The truth of the matter is, physical therapists will tell you that it's unhealthy to do it. Right? They'll tell you that it creates. It's not such a good thing. So everyone should decide. Physical therapists will tell you also not to even bend your legs too much backwards under the chair. Just sit straight. All right? Moving on, as the children grow, right? Looking for a choice of school where they should go. So he says one thing is for sure. One thing is for sure, that we have to pay attention and see if this place puts emphasis on behavior next to the academic subjects, right? In many places, they want to make sure that they fill their head with a lot of information and everything, but somehow chinuch is neglected. They don't, or they don't pay enough attention. How the children behave, how they talk to others, how they talk to each other, how they're eating, and how they're playing. For sure, very important for kids to go play during their break. It's very important. If a kid decides I'm not going to play during the break, that's not good. They have to be encouraged. They have to be and that's a part of chinuch. Playing with others, being able to interact with other people, with other kids older than them, kids younger than them, and their peers. How to learn not to grab for themselves everything, to think of others. All these things, they come through games. Through the games that they play, they play in the yard or whatever it is, this is where it comes from. Now, in the school, they have to encourage it, and they have to have chaperones, people that are watching them, supervising them, how they're doing it. So this too is something that a person should take into consideration when looking at schools. I mean, obviously, these days it's become very hard, to choose. You're not that many choices, but this is definitely something that people should. Sit around, hang around the school a little bit to see how they interact with the students, how they're watching them, and so on and so forth. We're moving on to high school, right? He says parents shouldn't rush to send their kids to high school. A lot of parents love to do it. Oh yeah, I sent my boy to high school before he was bar mitzvah. Wow. You're not doing kid any favor if he's not ready, right? If the kid is not ready yet, he's not mature enough, he doesn't have enough information, he doesn't have that the ability to to understand what's going on, boy or girl, if they can't adjust themselves as far as in the age, and they're just too young, they need to be kids, and we take that away from them, it's not fair. It's not a fair thing, so that's number one. Rav Ober writes that these days there is a lot of competitions that they do in schools. Whether the person knows Mishnah by heart, or they know a page of Gemara by heart, and all these things. At first glance, these things are wow, they're amazing. It's so good. The kid is boosted up, to learn. They know and this and that. But follow-up shows that later on in life, it wasn't worth it, because the kid that knew 2,000 Mishnayot by heart, he thinks he knows the whole Torah already. And he'll be lagging in everything. They won't put in the effort anymore, because hey, I have a trophy to prove it. I know, and unfortunately that pride that was given to them, it blinded them, right? So and they don't have to work hard anymore. So we're just saying the negative side. There is positive, for sure, in this thing. We can't say that it's totally terrible and, we have to get rid of it and so on and so forth, but we have to understand that it's not all rosy. It's not wow, this is great, this is awesome. Some schools love it because it shows, we had a competition in this, and look how many hours of Mishnayot these kids knew by heart, or how many this, and, but on the other hand, we have to keep a clear head. Not always it's helpful, and I don't know what we could do with the information. We don't want to kill it for the kids. It's healthy. It's a healthy competition, but at the same time, maybe they need encouragement to that they should understand. For your age right now, this is very appropriate, but you need to go over it again and again and again later as you grow. We're and so on and so forth. These are important things, inputs that we could have. Now, under normal circumstances, children, they like to learn. They like to study. They like to know, right? And now, if the relationship between the parents and the kids is good and it's healthy, right? And if they didn't push too much, they didn't drive the kid crazy, right? And everything is like balanced. So then in that case, the kid sees that the parents are studious, the mother reads, the father reads, they are learning, learning Torah and so on and so forth. Naturally, the child would want to do the same thing, because he likes his parents. And, he says, this is great, my role models are like this. I would love to do the same, He sees his father actually sitting and he opens a sefer and he's learning. He says, it's great, I'll do the same thing, But sometimes you find kids that they don't like to learn. They just don't like, right? He says there could be two reasons for it. One reason is that the upbringing was messed up. The upbringing was messed up. He saw that nobody had any importance for this. And he says, why should I? If my parents didn't like it, if my parents don't do this, so then why would I have to? And then he just doesn't want to do it. The second one is when the demand of the child, right, more than his abilities, right, more than he's capable to, right, and they push him and they push him and they push him, he pushes back. These are the two reasons that the Rabbi says would cause the child not want to do this. Rabbeinu Yonah, very apropos, we are in the month of Elul, everybody learns Sha'arei Teshuvah. Rabbeinu Yonah writes that nitchayev adam lirot bebanim ulhavim bahem. A person needs to look at his children and to understand and to differentiate ben ikesh uftaltol, one who is stubborn and doesn't want to do things, uven hayashar holech, when between the one that just goes in a straight path. All of that is leto'elet niskaval. It's very beneficial. Explains Rabbi. It means to say that the person needs to understand his child, and he has to understand the abilities of the child, what you can teach him or her and what you can't. If he sees that the child's talents are limited, right, don't send him to a place where he's going to have a lot of pressure, right? The pressure is going to be too much for the child. He's trying, of course, he's going to try to keep his competitive edge, but he's going to break. How many times did we see that, להבדיל בין קודש לחול, I'm not talking about yeshiva, people that went to, in law school, the guy is not ready, but he's got so much pressure, and they break. They have a nervous breakdown. So much competition, there's so much peer pressure, and they just break. They just can't do it. And the same thing goes, you're in a yeshiva. In the yeshiva, you got all these, a lot of very smart kids. And if the child is not ready, the child is not in that level. Who cares? So why should we force him to go there just because it has a great name? He's going to break. He's going to break. Right. So it says like this. So, okay, what should a person do when the child doesn't want to learn? This is already in the Gemara Masachet Ketuvot. It says over there, Be'usha hitkinu. Usha is one of the places that's big yeshivot at the time of the Gemara. They made a takana, they made a dictum. Shehi adam mitgalgel im beno at 12 shana. A person should roll, we're going to see what that means, should roll with his child up to 12 years. He says, Mikam va'elach yured imo lechayav. From there on, yured imo, he goes down with him to his life. What does that mean? He says, first of all, mitgalgel, Rashi explains, im mesarev lilmod, if the child refuses to learn. Yigalgel imo benachat. Talk to him softly, encourage him, bring that encouragement to want him to appease him that he should do it. However it works, sometimes you need to bribe him, sometimes you need to, whatever it is, a person should do it. Says Rav Wolbe, these days, as we know, 12 years of age is different. We're talking, these days, he says, 20 years. He says, the 12-year-old at the time of the Gemara was a lot more mature. I would say probably these days it's probably 24. He says that's how much patience we have to have, and go along with them. Try to encourage them. Try to get them to want to do it. That's so we see there is a limit. And then on the second segment of it, there is many different commentaries. Some say you're already Molech Hayav, then he should think of what would be the best thing for the child's life. However he's going to be able to pull it through and be successful in life, then he should help him out. He says there are children that are very normal, right? But by nature they are not. They don't have the ability to sit 15 hours a day and learn Torah. They just can't do it. They don't have that ability. So he says you could already see it, by 7th, 8th grade, that they can't do it. They need to run around and everything. He says their parents should look for an institution, a school, that would work with them. That will work with them. They don't have to sit so many hours. They do other things with them and so on and so forth. And many times, these places, these schools will help them to go into normal yeshivot, that the thing. But what do parents say? They say, no, bad name. If I send my child to the school, it's a bad name for the family, bad name for the child. Let me just try it, at least in this school. And they try it. And unfortunately, what happens? The kid tries and tries. It doesn't last long. They tell him, sorry, we can't handle you. And then he won't be able to get into any other places. And unfortunately, it's a very, Rav Wolbe writes, it's a very bitter experience of many parents. Something that, and it goes on. It goes on and on. Who's willing to do that? Even between schools, this school's got a better name. How could we not send our kids there? It's got to go there. All these things, it could be a disaster. Now, there's a part that he has. Everyone knows Rav Wolbe's thoughts on dormitories. He didn't like them. Rabbi Wolbe did not like dormitories. He says this in few different places in his writings. Let's see what he has to say. He says dormitories, they have what to desire, right? Dormitories are not the best choices. He says the reality is, right, if parents send their children to a school that has a dormitory, much better that the child should come home to sleep. Even if he wants to stay up late and learn Torah, fine. Better they should come home late from the yeshiva or from wherever institution they're in, right, than to stay in the dorm. Right. He says this is definitely. He says it's a lot more sensible. In a dorm, there has to be very, very good supervision. Without perfect supervision, the dormitory could be a disaster. Right? All types of dorms and these sort of institutions, they're very dangerous. There could be dangers lurking in those places. It says the parents think, I'm sending my child to a good institution. It's great, and they look at the dorms as a safety anchor. But unfortunately, there is more destructiveness than positivity. Right? It could ruin the child forever, right? And sometimes the damage won't even get fixed when they get married. Right? It says there's no dorm that is totally safe. Young boy or girl, they miss home, right? They need the love of the mother. the warmth of the home. And when they're not home for a long time, what's going to happen? They're going to look for an alternative. Going to look for it elsewhere. And this is dangerous. Right? There's so much going on in the dormitories. There's so much going on in the dormitories that, parents don't even know. So the younger the child that goes, the worse it is.
Because for high school, you're saying that
Yeah.
they have to send them out.
For high school, look, I'm a product of a dormitory. I was there even before my bar mitzvah. It's
Yes,
not.
they used to send their kids like Rav Shach, like get out.
Our days was different.
Yes.
Our parents were in Iran. Where are we gonna go? There was nowhere for us to go, and now for Baruch Hashem, we had the zechut. The yeshiva in Baltimore really, really, really took us in, and they treated us like their own children. For sure, they did a lot for us. But I've seen. I saw the damages that it could cause. I saw. It's not good. It's not good. However, sometimes you got to do it. If the situation at home is not any better, right? If the situation, whatever, the shalom bayit at home or whatever it is, there's so many different variables. It's not healthy. So then, what are you gonna do? Tell them, oh no, keep your kid at home? Definitely not. In those cases, sometimes it's a lot better for them to be in the dormitory. Obviously, of course, it has to be very well supervised. They have dorm parents, they have dorm counselors, they have systems that they would help. Now, if that's the case, and the child has to go and he goes away, and is in the dorms, and they come for Shabbat, the home has to turn into a festivity when the child comes back for Shabbat. That's what they have to do. Parents have to make the best. When he comes home, that's it. They have to party. They have to show that love and that connection to the child. Right? What will follow him for the rest of his life is love. Right? Any love that the parents could give the children will give the children more connection to the parents, right? Especially a child who is learning Torah and everything, and the parents love him so much, and they show that they love him, that they worry, they're interested in him, they're interested in how he's learning, they're connected to him, they even go visit him, right? This young child, these things are extremely important for them, very important. However, gotta be careful. We need a balance. You can't spoil them and you cannot pamper them. Spoiling and pampering will do just as much damage as neglecting. Right? we need that. He says it's known. Children that are messed up, they come from two types of homes. One is that they spoiled them. The other one is that they just neglected them. They didn't take care of them. Right? These are messed up homes, both of them. It says, usually they show the same signs as neglected children. Children that were pampered excessively, sounds familiar, whatever you want, I'll get for you, whatever you want. These sort of things, it ruins the kid. He feels he's on top of the world. He's and everybody else gives them bully personalities. It does a lot. It does a lot of damage. Okay. The next one is about the age of adulthood. All right? A few words that Rav Oba says about this very important thing. He says, it's around the age 12, 13, right? That's the age. So he says, listen, about the bar mitzvah and the bat mitzvah, I don't have to talk about. He says everyone knows what to do. Really nice. But it's about the age itself. like the physical changes and the mental changes that take place. He says about this, parents need to talk. They have to talk about this. He says if the relationship between the parents and the children is a very warm, close relationship, right? And they are able to talk to their children. It was ongoing since they were little. The parents are able to carry a good conversation with their children without being embarrassed. Then they should talk to them and to prepare them for adulthood. Very, very important. Mother needs to talk to her child when she's around the age of 12, right? And to talk to her about all the things that should be expected, because if she reaches that age without proper warning, proper preparation, and all these things, she will be very devastated, right? Surprised, let's say, and in shock, and it could have terrible ramifications. Also with the boys. The boys also, the father needs to sit down and talk to them about different things that could happen, prepare them, in a very good way, in a very proper manner. Much better they should hear it from parents than from others. Much, much, much better. Right? As time goes on and they grow older, they're more mature, you need to explain to them in more details, especially with boys. The Chafetz Chaim would, when they would reach age 15-ish, they would take them one time, tell them everything that they need to know, right? Everything, as far as halachot are concerned, as far as, behavior, as far as all these things are concerned. When he saw that they were ready enough, he would prepare them, he would talk to them, he would do that. Chafetz Chaim,
Jewish books for parents regarding this?
I don't know. I mean, there are certain halachot that are written in halakha books that they need to know.
Even halachot, that is in
I don't know. I haven't seen. I have to check. There are certain things that are very simple, that people know that they went through and they learned about, lifetime experiences. They have to give it over. They have to learn, but in a good way, that they shouldn't be shocked. They should understand what's going on. Very important. After all said and done, Chachamim tell us, "En apotropos la'arayot." We have to be very careful when it comes to everything that has to do with intimacy and appropriateness and all these these things. These days, especially our generation, is very open. These kids, they know things that even 50-year-old people don't know. And it's really, you have to be extra careful. Parents these days, as Rabbi Kraus Shlita says, I wouldn't want to be a parent in this generation.
Oh my gosh.
This is Rabbi Kraus. He's like one of the biggest mechanchim in America for sure. He says, I feel bad for parents in this generation. He says it's very, very complicated. And so there is a lot to talk about. There is a lot to teach them and to talk to them and to be connected with them. He says, Rav Wolbe, at the end of the segment, he says, I'll just hint to you as much as possible to make a separation at home between boys and girls. And they shouldn't sleep in the same room. Right? He says it's better to do it at an earlier age, at least at age 9 already. They should have that separation, if not earlier. Boys will be boys, and with girls we're not worried. With boys, and the less they're exposed, the better they are. But at the same time, we need to have that discussion and that talk with them, and if we don't talk to them, they won't know. They won't know, and then the friends will tell them, and then unfortunately they're not the best at it, and unfortunately it'll cause too much trouble. All right, we should all see nachat from them. Hashem.